So I want to welcome you all to today's session on PlayPosit. PlayPosit is something we've had for a couple of years now. We've been really pleased with it. One of the questions I've had, Amy actually asked just a second ago in the chat about how long we think we're going to be able to keep PlayPosit. We are actually hoping to keep it potentially post CARES Act funding. And if we were to shift to something, I've already checked, and what we have made in there will still work. You wouldn't just be able to make any changes to what sits out there. So the work that you would put into it would not be fully lost. It would just be still there. But we do plan to continue based off the usage and the things that we've seen with it. To have a tool that allows you to be able to interact with it. There is a similar tool used at Wake Tech. I think it's called VidGrid. And when I talked with them about it, the price is very similar. So in our mind, if it's, we've had really good feedback on PlayPosit. So I do anticipate this to be something that will hopefully stick around at least for a couple more years. So let's go ahead and kind of get started on today's session. I am very pleased to introduce Emily to our session. Emily has been with us since the beginning, and she has helped us a lot when it came to using PlayPosit in a pinch in the middle of COVID and finding ways to meet needs when we needed to log minutes and synchronous type sessions, but we couldn't come to campus, and things like cosmetology or a barbering situation that needed to show time. And she has been one of our primary trainers and helpers and meets with us patiently, her and her team, for the past several months when we have questions. And there's always new features similar to Blackboard coming out with PlayPosit. So what we see now is even newer and cooler than what we had when we started. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Emily because there is a new feature we bought into this most recent year that I think will be of interest to you and really make those that have used it before excited, and then those that are new to it will give you some added bonus to how it can be utilized. So Emily, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amanda. And thank you everyone for joining today. So as Amanda mentioned, and thank you so much also for introducing yourselves in the chat and letting me know what sort of experience you have with the platform, if any. Because I did see quite a few that did not have any experience, don't worry, I will show you also just what PlayPosit in our most commonly used format looks like, just asynchronous use looks like, but we are going to add an extra component of designing playlists today. So this is what our agenda is going to look like today. We'll first talk about what PlayPosit is. We'll talk about what a bulb is. That will be really helpful to know for those of you that do not have any experience with PlayPosit just yet. I'll show you what bulbs look like and everything, and then we're going to start diving a lot into playlists today. So playlists are one of our newest applications that we offer that Central Carolina has opted for. So they're a really powerful application. I'm super excited to show them to you, especially for those of you that do have experience with PlayPosit. We'll take a look at how you can build bulbs, how you can build playlists specifically, how you can assign them, and how you'll be able to monitor them too. So as Amanda mentioned, if you have any questions throughout today's session, please feel free to just add those to the chat. I will try to pause at various points to check in as we go, but I hope you guys enjoy today's presentation and we will get going. So what is PlayPosit? PlayPosit is an interactive video player. For those of you that don't know, the way that we work is we actually sit in between a video host and the viewer. What I mean by that is that with other interactive videos interactive video platforms that you may have used in the past, oftentimes interactive video includes embedding questions directly into the video. PlayPosit is totally different though, because what you do when you add any interactivity to your bulbs or to your videos is you're actually adding all of that interactivity on top of the video, which really makes it easy down the road if you ever need to update your videos, swap things out, make copies. The goal is to never have you have to start completely from scratch. Fun fact is that our platform was actually founded by two teachers who created PlayPosit in their classroom about 11 years ago So their goal, knowing teachers, being teachers themselves, was to make this as easy as possible and modifiable as possible also. So our product is called a bulb. That is what you've been hearing me say. Bulb is just our term for interactive video. This is what you're going to create within PlayPosit. So there's a number of different ways that you can create your bulbs and then launch your bulbs too. We offer asynchronous delivery options. Those include self-paced options, just allowing your learners to complete bulbs on their own time. That's oftentimes our most commonly used format for using PlayPosit. We also have playlists, which we will focus on today as well. We have learner-created bulbs too. Learner-created bulbs actually allow learners to get access to PlayPosit to create a bulb for their assignment. So those are super powerful for any sort of project-based assignments, presentations, a whole lot of options there. We do offer a peer review application too that includes a added component of feedback amongst peers in a group. And last, we do have a synchronous delivery option, which is called Broadcast. It's our live response system. So if you're familiar with iClickers at all, it basically allows you to create a clicker system in your class, whether it's remote or in person, with using PlayPosit. So again, today focusing mostly on playlists. We will touch on self-paced though as we go throughout today's session too. Last thing I will just say, just as a reminder for as you're thinking about the word bulb, just think about a bulb as something that really is going to allow you to shine a light into your learner's mind and understand how they're digesting content. So that's where that comes from. And because we have some people in here that have not used PlayPosit before, what I'd like to do real quick is just show you what a bulb can look like. Then we'll take a bigger focus on playlists themselves, and I'll walk you through the whole experience. So first of all, here is what a standard bulb can look like. The awesome thing about our platform is that you can do whatever it is that you'd like with your videos that you want to create into interactive videos. So I'm just going to highlight a couple of interactions that you might want to use as you are using PlayPosit, but just know that we actually have 8 interaction types that you can use as you're designing your bulbs, and it is totally up to you how they look, how they work, how they're going to appear for learners. So this first interaction that we are seeing is actually our pause interaction. So pauses are one of our interactions that just allow you to annotate your video. Maybe you're turning one of your recorded lectures or a supplemental practice video into a bulb. You might want to include pauses throughout to do things like set up some lesson objectives, instructions, highlight some key concepts. Lots of options there for you with that pause. And as you can see, you can actually even embed images, GIFs, videos directly into these pauses as well as you are setting up this lesson for your learners. One other great feature to highlight for you, regardless of how you want to use PlayPosit, whether it is going to be just in our standard asynchronous or in our playlist offering, is every bulb also includes a notepad. So notepads are a really great way to get your learners to be taking notes throughout the bulb as they're watching it. Learners can actually take timestamped notes at any point in the video that they need to or would like. And you don't have to actually add anything for this notepad to appear. All you have to do really is just pull your video into PlayPosit and we'll automatically attach that notepad. As you can see, it's timestamped, so if learners do decide to go back and rewatch this bulb, they can click into those timestamps and go back to that specific point in the video. They can download them. You can even see the notes as well. So really powerful tool that, again, is just always going to be automatically applied to your bulbs. As we reach our next interaction, this is just a multiple choice interaction. So oftentimes a very standard choice for what instructors will want to use. This one is specifically formatted to be a true false question too. Something else to note, and I won't dive into it too much because we do have quite a bit to get through today, is that you will have the ability to make a lot of customizations totally dependent on what you need and what you believe your learners will benefit from. So a couple of those modifications include doing things like adding custom feedback. If there's any additional reminders you'd like to give learners, you can in feedback. You can also format how feedback appears. If you don't want the answer highlighting to appear on their first attempt, you can go ahead and hide things like that. You can even hide which one is correct or incorrect. You can hide that language. You can also allow retries on any interaction. You can even program in jumps for your interactions. So if you want learners to be able to go back to a certain point in the video based on their response, or even forward, that is something else you can do. So again, we try to make sure that this tool is a great fit for every single instructor and every single instructor and learner's needs. So we do aim to give you lots of options, not to overwhelm you, but to allow you to create your true custom experience. All right. You can also include discussion forums in your bulbs. That's another of our 8 interaction types that we offer. Discussion forums are a really great way to get your peers collaborating, discussing, especially if you do have an online class. As you can see, learners can leave their own comments on discussions. They can also reply to their peers. You can format your discussions in a number of different ways, have them appear at different points in the video, throughout a duration of time in the video. It's totally up to you. And as the instructor, of course, you can modify, delete, respond to your learners even. All right, last interaction type I'll highlight, and just another feature that is also included for you. This is our free response interaction. This is one of our manually graded interactions, but what you're seeing here is that another customization that you will always be able to make is that if you don't want your interactions to just appear in the sidebar, you can actually have your interactions appear over the entire video in a corner on the side of the screen. It is totally up to you. So again, lots of interactions you can choose from. I definitely encourage everyone to just start getting in and playing with PlayPosit. I'll show you how you can do that, but lots of options to make this your own. The last added bonus that I will add before we dive into playlists is that every time you use PlayPosit, you are going to get a ton of data that is just aimed to show you exactly how your learners are digesting the content. We'll show you some different sort of analytics views. You'll have access to a monitor screen for every single bulb that you launch. That will give you really specific data, such as how much time your learners are spending engaging with an interaction, what their responses were, how much time they actually spent on the bulb, what their score was if they completed it. You also have some different options to explore some different sort of analytics views. The great part about this as well is that you can actually sync all of this data directly to the Blackboard gradebook. You can make adjustments as needed here as well and easily resync everything. So it's just a great consideration. All right, last thing, all of this data can be exported too. So if you ever need a hard copy, you can have that too. All right, so that is just some quick context of what PlayPosit is. What I do want to dive into next is playlists. So playlists, for anyone here that does have experience with PlayPosit so far, playlists are going to be a way that you can take your bulbs to the next level. Our team actually designed playlists as a way to provide multiple bulbs and even additional resources all into a single method of delivery that you can deliver your learners very easily. So to get us exploring what playlists might look like and how they will work for you, I actually have a handout that I will share with you in the chat that includes a sample playlist that you can just play around with and explore. We'll do this for about 2 minutes. So let me quickly copy this document into the chat for you. This is something that you can take away after the session too, just for a quick recap on how playlists actually work, how you can create them. They offer some ideas. What I'd like you to do when you open this document is go ahead and just click on this hyperlink. It will take you to a playlist, and I will put this in the chat as well. And the goal for you right here is just to explore how this is feeling. So in this playlist, you're going to encounter a couple of bulbs. You'll encounter a couple of resources. And when you get through everything in your playlist, you are also going to get a certificate at the end. No pressure, I'm not grading you. This is just to show you what the experience can feel like. And don't worry, you can even include these playlists in your Blackboard courses. We'll talk about that in a little bit too. So just take a couple minutes here, explore this. I'll show you what it looks like on the screen for those of you that just prefer to watch. And we will regroup in just a minute or two. All right, as you're working through this also, if you completed, I know it's a pretty brief playlist, the bulbs in here are pretty short. If you have anything that you like about this playlist, that you like about how you can include resources, or any sort of ideas that you want to just, maybe you're already scheming how you can use playlists in your course, feel free to share those in the chat. And of course, we'll take a look at a couple more examples too. Hopefully, navigating this was enjoyable and something new for you too. All right, well, for sake of time, ooh, okay, I see some comments. Yes, the certificate component is really awesome. We're gonna spend a little bit of time talking about how you can even customize that certificate and discuss some different use cases as well. So I'm glad you enjoyed that part. And yeah, with just some time constraints, feel free to add any other things you might like or other use cases you might be thinking of. If you have any questions at this point or something that particularly stood out to you, please feel free to put that in the chat. I'll keep an eye on it as we keep going through the session here. So here's just a few things to highlight that when we're looking at playlists. So for those of you that were completing the playlist, or those of you that were even just watching, you probably saw a few components here that may have stood out, one of those being that certificate component. Again, the goal of playlists was to design a way for any instructor or program, maybe you are someone that works in like a non-academic program, maybe it's student orientation or something, to allow you a way to provide a number of different interactive videos and resources all in one single delivery method. All right, so as you noticed, as we were going through that playlist, it includes a table of contents that actually has different titles for each of the modules within this playlist. It also included bulbs and resources dispersed throughout as well. We aim to give learners just a full comprehensive way of learning and absorbing all of this content. So just a really great way to consider adding all of those resources to a single playlist too. As we do kind of near the end here, you did notice, of course, that printable certificate option. That is something that can be very powerful, just depending on what sort of program you might want to use this for. You don't necessarily need to include a certificate in your playlist if you don't want to. Maybe your goal is to just deliver a week's worth of content to your learners through Blackboard, and you don't need that certificate. You just need that grade syncing to Blackboard. Totally fine. But if this is something that you do want to include for your learners to generate upon completion, always an option for you too. Something that you might have noticed on the certificate that was generated from that sample playlist was that it included the PlayPosit logo. Don't worry, for your playlists, since you guys are an institutional partner of ours, you actually will get the Central Carolina Community College logo at this part of the certificate. You can then customize by adding your own badge, your own text. Don't worry, I'll show you how you can do that and where you can find all of those customizations in a little bit too. All right, so as I mentioned, there's a ton of different ways that you can consider using PlayPosit's playlist, whether it is in your academic courses or even if you're someone who doesn't necessarily teach an academic course, but would like to use playlists to deliver content to learners. Maybe it's for a certain program, maybe it's COVID awareness, maybe it's for staff onboarding. Whatever sort of position you might hold at Central Carolina, just know that you can use our playlist in whatever sort of capacity that you would like to. Here's just an example of new staff onboarding, which is something that many of our partners have actually started using playlists for, as well as other sort of professional development opportunities. If you are thinking, well, I'm an instructor, I'm going to use this for my instruction, same sort of concept. Once you have any of your bulbs or videos that you'd like to use created, you can simply plug them into a playlist, restructure as needed, which includes restructuring and retitling some of those modules, reordering, adding whatever sort of resources you would like to include, and then determining what sort of settings you would like to apply to your playlist. So lots of different uses for this, no matter what sort of program you are working with. All right, so we talked about this table of contents. Here's just how learners are going to be able to navigate through this. And again, we'll show this live in just a moment. But once you design any of your modules and title them as you wish, all you are going to do is very quickly add your bulbs to your playlist. You can drag and drop, reorder as needed. You can also add any extra resources. So if there's extra images, documents, PDFs, spreadsheets, even websites that you'd like to include, you can also pull those into your playlist and determine exactly how they are ordered. If that certificate component did really stand out to you, don't worry. Certificates are only going to be accessible by learners when all of the bulbs in a playlist are completed. You might notice some of these different icons here. So we do have some different settings that I'll show you that include the ability to lock progression of playlists. That's why we're seeing this little lock symbol. But as learners do go through their playlist and complete everything, we will indicate that with some check marks. All right, again, that customizable piece of the certificate we talked about lightly. You can customize the badge that's included. This will be a great Central Carolina logo for you. It'll pull in the user, what sort of program they completed, and you can even add some custom text or a signature as needed. And I'll show you where you can find that. All right, last thing to mention before we truly dive in is that you can link your playlist in Blackboard if you are someone that's used PlayPosit and has linked your bulbs in Blackboard before. Don't worry, same exact process that you're used to, and you can actually link and embed those bulbs directly into your Blackboard assignments. All of that will pull through to the Blackboard gradebook, just as you might be used to with regular bulbs. You also, if you are someone that maybe uses a website for your course, or maybe you are someone that is using or that wants to use PlayPosit for non-academic courses, you can even embed playlists on a website. So just know that that's an option for you too, which is really great because it actually offers you a way to not require any sort of login, maybe just entering learners' first and last names as they access. Last thing I will mention is that you can also distribute playlists just via a link. So embedding, linking an LMS, and distribution via a link or even QR code is going to be an option too. So we want to make sure that you have the most flexibility depending on how you want to deliver your playlists, depending on your specific use case. All right, so here is our workflow for creating playlists. The very first thing you need to do is create bulbs. I will show you a very quick walkthrough of how to create bulbs for those of you that have never used PlayPosit, but then we will be focusing on creating playlists for the rest of the time and how to assign those. All right, so we'll go ahead and switch over to Blackboard here. And if Blackboard is giving me trouble today, then I apologize in advance. But okay, so first things first, for anyone that is not familiar with using PlayPosit, you will be able to access it during the session, even after the session if you'd like. All you have to do is once you are at your course that you would like to use PlayPosit in, I'm already in my course, I'm going to go ahead and head to Content. What you will then do is click on the Build Content. It also might be the Tools dropdown depending on how it is set up for you guys. You'll go ahead and find PlayPosit from this menu. Bear with me for a moment because we have a lot of tools installed in our Teams testing environment, so it will not be this difficult for you to find PlayPosit. It's definitely just us. So give me one moment while I scroll through and find it. There's one specific one. And might have already passed it. Okay, we want to find this one. Here we go. All right, so I found PlayPosit from the menu. Here is just a quick run through on how you will create a bulb and then how you can link a bulb, and then we'll dive into the playlists. So once you have clicked on that playlist title, you'll go ahead and see this gray screen. This is going to give you access to your own PlayPosit account. So you can go ahead and click on Enter PlayPosit or Set Link. Both are going to take you to the same place. When you do that, you will be taken to the My Bulbs menu. My Bulbs is where all of the bulbs that you create are going to be stored. And apologies in advance if it feels like I'm throwing a lot of information at you. We do have knowledge base articles that I will make sure are added to this webinar handout, so that way if you're starting kind of from scratch, you'll have some resources to get you started too. We're going to go ahead and click on Add New Bulb. When you do that, it opens you up to our PlayPosit Designer. All right, the Designer is where the magic happens. This is where you will go to actually create all of your bulbs. Your first step in creating a bulb, though, is having a video that you'd like to use. So we'll take you to a screen that allows you to choose your video source. As far as what is available for you at CCCC, you will have YouTube and Vimeo integrations that you can use. You can actually search YouTube and Vimeo directly from PlayPosit. You can also input URLs for various YouTube and Vimeo videos that you want to use. You can also upload MP3. If you do click on record or upload, those will not be available options, just as they were not included in this license. So just be aware of that. I'm going to go ahead and search YouTube really quick just to pull in a quick video and show you where you can find everything. All right, we'll go ahead and select a video here. Once you do that, we'll go ahead and go to Customize, which will take you to our captioning area. Something that you will need to do if you are using YouTube and depending on auto-generated captions is just click on this button to pull in that auto-generated caption file. Don't worry, if you forget this, I will share some documents with you that walk you through the whole process. We'll go ahead and click download and proceed with building this bulb. All right, we'll go ahead and just click on Customize and click on Done. All right, so again, not going to spend a ton of time diving into this today just because we do want to focus mostly on playlists today. But for those of you that are new and that are going to just start kind of playing around with PlayPosit after this session, here are some key places to be aware of. One, anytime you want to add an interaction to your bulb, simply drag to that point in the video, or you can just play it and then pause at whatever points you would like the interactions to appear. Click on Add an Interaction, and you'll have your choice of all of these different interaction types. When you build any of your interactions, you will have things like a rich text editor to enhance and customize any of your questions and interactions. You will also have some advanced settings that you can explore. You can choose the placement of interactions. You can choose the timing of it. You can also choose how many points each of your interactions is worth. All right, last thing I will highlight is a really great place to check out for beginners. This is our template gallery. Our team has a number of templates that we've designed for you to quickly add some effective interactivity to your bulbs. Feel free to explore any of these, apply any of them. When you apply them, you can even do things like customize them. So if you don't exactly like the text that we chose, don't worry, you can go in and customize also. Again, sorry this part is a little sped up. I just want to make sure we have some time for playlists. My biggest advice is to, once I've added some extra resources in your webinar handout, just play around with it first. Get yourself familiar with what sort of style you'd like to use and what sort of interactivity you'd like to include in your playlists too, or in your bulbs too. When you're done creating bulbs, you'll just head to our review tab where you can make some additional enhancements and customizations as desired and just save your bulb. You'll see a blue screen that looks like this. You can go ahead and click on the Blackboard icon. This is going to link this assignment to Blackboard. All right, we'll go ahead and click link, and from there you will see a gray screen. If you were to click into this assignment you just made, again, you'll see a gray screen that's going to allow you to preview the bulb, export data of the bulb, and monitor the bulb. Don't worry, learners will not see this. They will just see the bulb itself. All right, so that is my very quick crash course in just using PlayPosit in a standard sort of format. And don't worry, we have things like PlayPosit Academy. We actually, if you're interested in learning more about PlayPosit and want kind of a more comprehensive like walkthrough of the platform, our team is actually hosting an introductory PlayPosit session next week on the 12th and on the 20th. So I'll be sure to add that to your document as well for a more slowed down, thorough walkthrough. All right, with that though, let's go back to playlists. So when creating playlists, same sort of workflow that I just showed you. We'll go ahead and in our course, head to content. We'll try to find PlayPosit here again. There it is, faster this time. All right, and when you click into this, same thing, go ahead and click on Enter PlayPosit or Set Link to get you to your own account. All right, this time, instead of hanging out in the My Bulbs area, we are going to go to Playlists. All right, so when we click into our Playlist tab, you are going to see a list of potential playlists as well as a button that allows you to add new playlists. So as we saw back here in our just walkthrough of what you needed to do first things first is you need to make sure you have some bulbs that are already created for yourself. All right, so cannot make a playlist if you don't have bulbs created already. So just keep that in mind. When I click into Add New Playlist, it is going to take you to our playlist designer. So this looks quite a bit different from just our PlayPosit designer. And you can just get started in designing right here. So it's very simple to navigate, to use, to apply different settings. First thing I might want to do here is just title this playlist. All right, now, okay, I have a title. Let's add some bulbs to this. I'm going to go ahead and click on Add Module. When I do that, you'll see this field right here that says New Module 1. I might want to retitle that, whatever I need it to be titled. And you'll see here a couple of options to start adding your bulbs and adding resources. We'll go ahead and click on Add Bulbs first. What you see here is now all of those bulbs that were included in My Bulbs all pulled in for me to easily add to this playlist. All right, so maybe I want this photosynthesis. Maybe I want the one we just created. Oh, this one's a good one too. Okay, we'll just add a couple bulbs here that we can then reorder and work with. Once we do that, I'm going to go ahead and just click on Add Bulbs. Maybe it's just 4 for right now, but something to know is that there's not going to be a limit on how long your playlist can or can't be. So if maybe you just want 1 bulb included in your playlist, because maybe you have a bunch of resources that you want to provide learners with, and especially want that certificate piece, totally fine. I see partners do that all the time. If you have a few bulbs for the rest of the week, feel free to add those too. All right, so I just added 4 bulbs, but let's say I need to actually add more modules. I'm going to go ahead and just add a couple more, retitle those also. Very creative titles here. And what you can then do is start dragging and dropping everything to those respective sections. All right. Last couple of things, because again, once you have your bulbs actually built, building the playlist is going to be very straightforward. Last couple of things to consider is that if you do have extra resources that you'd like to include, go ahead and just click on Add Other. You can do things like add various attachments. We support PDFs, documents, CSV files, and images. Let me go ahead and find a quick image to add here. All right, so here's one image. If I need to actually change that and move it to a different section, I can. If there's any PDFs or documents that you want to include, of course, you can do that as well. So just know that, again, this is a way to create just a comprehensive learning environment for your learners to include everything that they might need all in one place. All right, and there's a PDF. The cool thing about embedding websites too, just so you guys know, is that if you do want to embed a website, all you have to do is insert the URL for that website. Oh, and that's a playlist. I guess I might be able to add a playlist, but let's not do that. Let me see if I can pull in this document real quick. Oh. Yeah, okay, well, there's something to consider too. If you do want to add a playlist inside of your playlist, you can, but we won't get that crazy right now. You can do things like insert different sort of Google Docs, websites, and we will embed those directly into the playlist too. So when learners click into them, they don't have to leave the page, leave the tab. It'll all be right there for them. All right, well, that's about it. That's how you will be able to structure your playlist. A couple other considerations that you can have are things like blocking progression. If this is some sort of like mastery-based assignment and you want to make sure that learners have completed their bolts prior to moving on to the next one, feel free to lock the progression of these. An added bonus of this is you can even add a minimum completion score for each and every one of the bulbs. So if in order for learners to be able to adequately proceed to the next bulb, they need to reach 75%, feel free to add that minimum completion score. You can do that and customize that for every single bulb. All right, so really awesome resource for mastery-based learning. All right. Last couple of things to highlight here. If you want to change the coloring of it, feel free, totally up to you and how you would like to customize this. You can even insert your own hex code if you have that handy. Last, that certificate. If you enable the certificate, it will unlock a few other menus for you to add some customizations. You can add a playlist badge. Go ahead and upload an image that you would like to include in this playlist. And that, or sorry, in this certificate, you can also upload your own signature if that is necessary for your program too. And last, if there is any additional text that will be helpful for learners to have, you can go ahead and enter some of your own language as well. Go ahead and preview the certificate at any point as well, and you can take a look at exactly what that playlist is going to look like for learners. This pulled in the logo that was matching the branding of the account I was in, and all of the other information that you would want to include. All right, so that is it. Again, once you have your bulbs ready to go, feel free to just even play around with adding them to a playlist. Try adding some extra resources too. If you want to preview these at any point, you can toggle them to our preview mode so you can see exactly how this is going to look for learners and how they will be able to work through and navigate through this playlist too. All right, the last important thing to consider here is that when you are done with your playlist, I'll go ahead and save it. We'll see this playlist saved screen. We'll exit out of this and we'll go ahead and add the playlist that we just created. I'm going to go ahead and click on this Blackboard icon again, just as you are used to with linking asynchronous bulbs. We'll go ahead and click link. It'll process for just a moment, and then you can access this playlist from the instructor point of view. So I know I have just a couple of minutes left. You will see a screen that looks like this, same thing as you are used to with asynchronous bulbs. You can click on monitor to view how this playlist is being completed. And this monitor screen is actually going to be different than the monitor screen that you're used to, because since there are multiple bulbs within a single playlist, usually, you can go ahead and click into each of those bulbs to see how learners performed on them, and just see their progress and status and score for the playlist as a whole too. If you do ever make any changes here, feel free to just press sync grades and we'll resync those grades to the Blackboard gradebook for you. Okay, wow, so that was pretty fast. But again, if you are familiar with PlayPosit already and have made some bulbs, I just encourage you to play around with creating some light playlists just to kind of explore what those settings and the process will actually look like. For those of you that are new, I saw that Amanda was putting in some info. So yes, they have PlayPosit Academy posted with their PD organization site, and the webinars are listed there too. For those of you that are new, I hope you do attend some of those webinars that we have in the coming weeks, because they will provide just a full introduction to PlayPosit itself, and then you can start using some playlists. So with that, I think we have about a minute left. So do you guys have any last questions or anything?
One thing I will throw in as a part of this, number one, is a big thank you to Emily. She has been amazing for us for the past, I don't even remember how many months now, that we've been bonding over this. The cool part about this, we have been talking about using, having these bulbs and referencing them. The way we have our system set up, when you put your bulbs out there, we have a CCCC repository of these bulbs. So if you want to see what your colleagues have made already, feel free to go ahead and peek in there and look at those. The ones that have been pre-made, and you can use them as templates, or you can use the copy of one to be able to be in your course. So we have some of your colleagues have already been in there, and I am telling you, that is probably how I've learned the most this year, is how everyone has been using it. If you're interested in, wanting some one-on-one training or some support, Jamie McLeod, Lisa Knight, or I can help connect you to someone. Jamie's really kind of our ringer in-house who has had some experience making it for his courses, and he's also one of our instructional designers. So don't be shy about letting us know as you have questions. But as we've been looking at the statistics each month, we've been really excited. We have adoption from CTE areas, whether it's welding, biology, cosmetology, like the works. So just know that we can team you up and have someone that's a peer really kind of tell you, the benefits. And the PlayPosit presentation here really was meant to show you the playlist, because this was the one piece we had some requests for. It'd be really cool if we could have a playlist. It'd be really cool if we could have sort of a certificate of completion or proof of something. Think of orientation and getting started and different things that you do. So just know that this is available. It's free for you and your departments. We pay for a campus license for this, so this is covered for you this year. But the training that Emily mentioned is free for you to be able to attend those webinars. When you get on the listservs, they kind of tell you when they're coming up. So just know that we're here for you. And I think I've added everyone to the PD organization, but if for any reason you're not there, by the time you leave this session today, just send me a quick chat and I'll make sure it's there before the end of the workday. But thank you, Emily. I know, if you don't mind, I'm going to say that we're saying goodbye to you, sadly, as you go on to bigger adventures, but we have really enjoyed having you, and this is kind of a nice way to head off the next year and meet more of your team that have been great to have on board. So thank you.
Thanks, Amanda. It's been so awesome working with all of you, and I'm so excited to see how everyone here hopefully starts using playlists, and just know you are fully supported by our team even after I leave. So
yeah. And we do have a lot of resources. I've been able to reach out to Emily and others on her team when we get stuck. And some of the new features have actually been from ideas that we've had, or things that we ask. They're actually looking at and building constantly. So don't be shy about it, just like with Blackboard. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording.